Namaste. Welcome back to my channel. A little bit of a different greeting today. I decided, you know what, it's the same old boring greeting every video, so why not change it up? So, I like to mix things up, so you might get a different greeting with different videos. We'll see how we go. So this one, Namaste, is a greeting in India in Hindi. And I'll be doing another video next. We'll talk a little bit more about that particular greeting. But today's topic is a big one. It's one that a lot of us around the world struggle with. In fact, if you're human, you would have had, an encounter with this one. And, assuming whoever's watching this is human, it's relevant, it applies to you, whoever is watching it. Okay, so the topic today is anger. Personally, for me, this is a big one. I've had, it's something I've been, how do I say, it's been an issue for me for a long time, but lately I find myself getting a little bit too, lacking in patience. I'm having explosive anger here and there a bit more often. I've noticed last couple of weeks. So as I do with the videos, I like to work with fresh examples, my own personal experiences, and share that, explore that, and learn from it together to share the, how can we use these experiences to make our life better, okay, easier. Okay, without going too much into that, I had an experience this morning. Okay, without getting into the exact details because I don't even remember, but this morning I went off at my husband. Explosive anger. It was something really minor, something small, but that's how I reacted. And yes, I've been reacting a bit of too much of that lately. So, I've got a little one. I've been a little bit impatient. I've been yelling at her, finding myself not, easily losing my patience with, different characters in my life. So after this encounter in the morning, I reflected and I'm like, I'm observing that within myself. It's happening more often than I would like. So I did a bit of reflection. Okay, I had a bit of reflection. And as I've said in other videos, I've taken time to explore, reflect, and go inwards, and getting to know myself more. So as part of that, I'm learning to do more of that self-awareness. So what I did was I'm, trying to explore this anger. Where is it coming from? So the first thing, I started to look at what might be causing this explosive anger lately, impatient, etc. So I wrote down a few reasons, potential reasons for that, right? So, okay, I even make notes. Okay, so bear with me. So when I wrote things down, sorry, before we go into this morning's example, I did a video yesterday on a nasty YouTube comment. Okay, so I touched a little bit of anger on that one. So if you want to have a look at that one, check that one out. But today we're going to explore more about anger and how best to deal with it. Okay, so I did a bit of reflecting on this morning's explosion, and I thought about what is it. So I did identified some potential causes of my anger recently. So one is the stress of the illness. So as I mentioned in other videos, it's a very serious life-threatening illness that's always hanging over my head. So the stress of the fear of it, right? The fear, the anxiety, what is going to happen in the future? Okay, I'm in treatment now, but what if it doesn't work? I know And also whenever there's a doctor's appointment, whether it's phone or whatever form, that creates anxiety for me. So I had a phone call yesterday, and I was having a bit of a long chat with the doctor about how things are going. So there was that incident. Trauma last year this time. So I had a massive trauma, massive to me. It was my worst time in my life last year. And it's got to do with the illness and the bad news I got, and a lot of really, really scary stuff, right? So that was just before Christmas this time last year. So I am sort of reliving a past trauma, and I have mentioned this in other videos, but we will do a video on trauma another time. But so I've got the past haunting me again. Not again, sorry, the past haunting me from last year, the same timing. There is also this Christmas thing, and a lot of people naturally have this sort of anxiety around Christmas. I'm not going to get too much into it because I can probably do another video just on that. So it's just a general Christmas thing happening as well, right? Then I, thought about tiredness. So I really noticed, because I've been paying attention to when I get these anger outbursts. I noticed that it's when I'm really tired. Okay, it's when I'm exhausted. That's when I get impatient. That's when I get angry. So this is it's a big one. Notice that about yourself as well. If you are getting angry, is that a potential cause? Then we've got, I will talk about the other bits, but these are the big ones for me that I identified as potentially causing these recent explosions, as I call it. Okay, so that's what I did. I wrote down the potential causes, the stress, the tiredness, right? So then. So this is what I did yesterday. Yeah, I've been doing it last week or two, whatever. But after this morning, I thought about it more. And then I sat down with a psychologist, with a mental health expert. Oh, before that, so based on that recent experience and the notes I wrote down, I thought, hang on, this needs to happen. I need to do a video on this, because this is a common issue that a lot of us suffer from. So I started to write notes down as to, my experience, identifying the anger, what's causing it. And then I looked at, wrote down a couple of practical tips. And then afterwards I sat down, I had an appointment, sat down with a psychologist to just go through my notes on anger, and then just to, double check it with an expert on this, and, gotten her to, if need be, add her input. So these are my notes. Okay, so bear with me. I think they're all really important, so I don't want to miss out. And so what we sort of identified in steps, right? So let's say you've had an event, a person, whatever has happened, and you are getting, like, you in the moment and you're getting angry. Okay, getting angry. Now, first of all, this is getting into the strategies, practical tips that I'm offering you, how to best deal with our anger. Okay, so being aware, notice it, recognize it. Recognize that your emotions is starting to escalate, the anger is there. Notice what's coming up, right? Just be mindful. Don't become the anger, notice the anger. Okay. This is where it's critical, right? This is a critical moment for things to not explode and just completely escalate, to try to diffuse, not to escalate. That this is the critical part, which is pausing. Okay, so as you start to notice yourself, do whatever it takes to pause, okay, and be aware of what's happening. So you can pause by focusing on the breath. So I'm a yoga meditation teacher. I'm always going to talk about breath, right? Okay, breathing. You can count to 10. You can walk away from the situation or the person. Now this one, I've got to put my input into this one, right? When I have an argument with my husband and I get pissed off, I just walk away. I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. that pisses him off even more. Okay. I know it's very hard when you're highly emotional, but this is what we got to practice. For me, myself, I have to let my husband know, listen, I'm getting really angry right now. I need to walk away. So please, let's continue this later. Say that, and then I walk away. So this is something I'm working with it. Like, I haven't mastered it yet. It takes practice. So walk away, you know, little explanation, little pause, please, I need to walk away. Okay. Then, you know, what we want to do is try to, you know, as I always say, be present to the moment. Get your mind, get yourself out of the head, because the thought is what's causing the anger. Okay. The situation itself is not causing the anger. It's your interpretation. It's your thoughts and beliefs on what's happening. Okay, the situation is neutral. Okay, I'm gonna talk about this part later on another time, but we want to just get present and get out of the mind. That's the important bit. Okay, the longer you're going to stay with the thought and the mind, the more angry you're going to get. Okay, because feelings are coming from the thoughts. Anyway, so we are talking about pausing. We're talking about stopping the situation from escalating. We're talking about calling pause. We're talking about walking away. Just to quickly, when I used to get really upset or overwhelmed or angry back in the when I was at the corporate job inside the office, I used to go get out of the office, go downstairs, and then just literally walk around the building and just breathe and calm down. And I'll come back a lot calmer. So that's just, you know, little tips here and there. You can apply this anywhere in any situation in life, at work, at home, any person. Okay. Now, then after the event has passed, when you're calmer later on, reflect and explore that anger. Okay. That incident, that anger. I'm going to highlight when you have calmed down. Okay. When your headspace is good to be able to do this, reflecting and exploring. Okay. Basically, what I was talking about before was managing your emotion and not letting it, basically stop it from the situation getting worse, from your feelings, exaggerating, escalating the feelings, right? Afterwards, later on, you calm down. Okay. You're thinking straight. Okay. It's important to calm down so you can think straight. Okay. Here we are talking about, which I explained before, finding the potential triggers, finding the potential reasons, what's made us so angry, okay, behind the anger. So I talked about, for me, this morning and lately, the angers, it's the stress of the illness, the stress of Christmas, the stress, COVID. Do not forget COVID, okay? Depending on what part of the world you're living in, you might not be affected by it at all, but a lot of us around the world are, and that directly impacts our mood in a lot of ways, right? In a lot of ways. And for different people, it impacts it higher, and there's a greater impact, and there's, not so much impact. So, right now, like, very quickly, we've got plans to go on holidays, go camping, be on the road trips, it's stuff that excites me and my husband. We look forward to it. It's been a hell of a year. It's been a tough year for a lot of us. So a lot of us want to escape on a holiday. And right now, because things are sort of escalating with COVID again, everything is a question mark, whether we are able to even get out and do these holidays. It's a question mark. Okay, so that's stressful. Okay, you got something you wanted to look forward to, meet your family for 1 year, and all of a sudden that's like, may not happen. Okay, that itself is stressful. So be mindful of COVID stress. Okay, that is affecting us all, and that's going to come out as anger or frustration. Okay. Tiredness and exhaustion. Okay, tiredness, it's a big one. When we're tired, when we're exhausted, we tend to be less patient, irritable, easily angered. Okay, this has been my big one. Part of the treatment causes fatigue. It hasn't really affected me so much, but it could be you're part of a treatment and that's causing you to have fatigue. Fatigue may result in anger outbursts. So it affects the mood. Okay, it really affects the mood. So being mindful of these different triggers. For example, like I'm a mom. I've got a little one. I figured when I reflect on it, the days that I'm fatigued, it's not the treatment. It's actually having my little one babysitting. So it's more related to my little one, the exhaustion. Okay. So if you're a young mother, especially a mother with a young one, it's going to affect you. The tiredness, the lack of sleep, exhaustion, it is going to directly impact your mood, how angry, how much patience you have, how angry you are. And I've got a number of friends that are young, have young kids. I hear it day in and day out. Frustration, anger, lack of sleep, tiredness. Okay, so this is just personal and examples of a lot of people that I know. Alrighty, childhood experience. Okay, so for myself, I don't want to take too much time with this video on that one, but growing up, I've been in a home where there was a lot of fighting going on, a lot of dad used to be very angry and frustrated a lot of the time. So I have grown up with that constant anger and frustration, right? Now that definitely affects a child, affects us, as an adult. Your childhood experience directly affects us as an adult. I'm not going to get too much into that psychology, but what's happened, and over the years I've realized, is anger is the most dominant response, my default. Right? I'll just come up with anger straight away, and this is my husband says this to me all the time. Now it doesn't happen with majority of people, is fine. It only happens with the loved ones, the ones closest to me. Only certain people trigger. So my mom is one of them, and husband is another, and the little one, for obvious reasons. So there's certain people that's gonna trigger you, that's gonna push your buttons. Okay, I'm really good with people, at work and all around me. I'm really good at managing. Like I don't go that far with anger. I don't have anger issues, but when it comes to certain individuals in your life, they have a tendency to just hit that spot. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about for me. Now, good point. The reason we are, we are more angry, or we have direct our anger at certain people, as it's mostly loved ones, is because we're comfortable and we feel safe to express ourselves. So we can't just let loose with our feelings, right? Whereas we can't go do that at work. Okay, for example, in professional environment, you can't, unless you completely, lost the plot, your anger is going to go everywhere. But the point is, with certain people, you are more, it's easier to, the anger just, you can't help yourself with certain people, whereas you can manage yourself with others. Okay, because they're the family, whatever, you're comfortable and it's safe to express yourself. The other thing is, I'm going to call it out because, women, for all the women out there, hormones. Okay, this is a big thing that I've observed within myself and all my friends, and it shouldn't be underestimated. Okay, the hormones have a direct play in our moods. PMS is a real thing. Okay, it's a real thing, and it affects a lot of us, and it makes us go crazy. Okay, it makes us explode with anger. It makes us irritable, mood swings, you name it. It really does. Okay, and because I'm on this treatment, my hormones all over the place. So that is something also that comes into play with the anger, right? So there's a number of different factors. Okay, so it's worth it to sit down and figure and explore and reflect, what is the root cause of my anger, of this event with that person overall? What is it? Get down to the bottom of it, because it will help. when you have an understanding of your anger, where it's coming from, it does help. Now, let's say you have that angry moment or that fight or whatever it is, right? And you just lose it, right? Like I did this morning, I just lost it. I yelled and I was, just not my ideal self. What do you do then? Okay, this is where we get into the after effect, okay? So what I ended up doing was, a couple hours later, I sent a text to my husband saying, I'm sorry, I went off at you. I'm, stressed, blah, blah, blah. So I've sort of explained myself what happened, what made me go off. And then I said, and then I just said, love you, okay? And I'm going to come back to that last part. So there was a text message. So when we have lost it, okay, to a loved one, to a colleague or whatever, it is worth it to apologize, explain yourself, this is where I was coming from. And this is an important one. If the other person, there was a valid reason for you to get angry because the other person was unfair, said something wrong, whatever it could be, it is important for you to let them know. For example, if I say, I felt really hurt, when you said this, I thought it was unfair. It's for the other person's, it's a feedback to the other person. It's for their self-awareness, okay? It takes two to tango, they say. Okay, it's never just, I don't believe it's always just one person's fault. We all have issues, okay? They all come into play. So the best thing to do is to let the other person know. Okay, if they did anything wrong or if they hurt you, it is important that you speak up, let them know. So a big part of my videos and a lot of things that I talk about is compassion. Compassion, compassion, compassion. And of course, there's going to be a video on this. So when we've gotten angry and we've lost it, okay, like for example, if I've lost it at my little one, I'm going to feel guilty, like mother's guilt. And it happens with my parents. If I go off at my mom, and yeah, I went off at my mom last week, my God, like she's 70-year-old, very frail. And, understandably, it's understandable that I lost it at her, but I felt so much guilt, and it's, so much guilt. So what I'm trying to say here is have compassion for yourself when you have moments like that, because you are human. We are human and we are going to lose it. Anger is there for a reason. Okay, there's a purpose to anger as well. It's a really good signpost to let you know what needs to change. It's there for a reason. Okay, and I'll explore that part of things in another video, because you can use that to really make positive changes in your life and within yourself. Okay, so be compassionate towards yourself if you lose it. It's understandable. Tell yourself it's okay. It's okay. I'm human. When you pinpoint or explore the reasons why you're stressed. So for example, I realized, hang on, I'm so stressed because I've got these, daunting appointments. I've got the illness thingy, stress over my head. I've got the trauma from last year. I've got tiredness. I'm going to tell myself, Tish, shit, you've got a lot going on. It's understandable that you lost it. It's okay. It's okay. You've got a shitload on your plate right now. It's okay. Self-compassion. You have to have self-compassion. Now, this is where it got interesting with the psychologist, because having this really good conversation about all of this, and yes, she talked about the self-compassion, and then I'm like, yes, that's really important, but I said, but balance, middle ground. We cannot always say, oh, I lost my shit, I lost it, I did this, but it's okay, I'm just human. And just keep making the same mistake or keep behaving the same way and use that as an excuse. Oh, it's okay, I'm human, it's okay. Yes, it's okay, but it doesn't have to be that way all the time. And when we going off at people, when we're getting angry, when they cop our anger and frustration, it is not nice for them. we suffering internally, but the other person also suffers. You might really hurt somebody else by going off at them, by yelling at them, especially a little child. They might have psychological issues growing up. It might affect their self-esteem. If you're constantly telling a little kid, yelling at them, telling them, why are you doing da-da-da-da, they might get the message here. There's something wrong with me. I am not loved. A lot of these, then you're going to start to have self-esteem issues and a whole lot of issues. I'm not going to talk about that. Growing up as an adult, okay, we all have issues from our childhood, all of us, okay, whether we know it or not. So be mindful when we express our anger that it is not also affecting someone else, mental health, their little kids' beliefs. There's a lot of flow-on effect. So we need to have compassion for ourselves, but we need to have compassion for the other person. Okay, so this is where going back to them when you're calm down and apologizing, letting, if apology is not relevant in every case, but let's just say, if you behaved a certain way, apologize for it. If it's affected some, explain yourself where I was coming from. Oh, look, I'm under a lot of stress here. Please, I'm sorry I behaved that way. I'm under a lot of stress. Then you can let them know you said this, because I felt this way because you said this, and let them know. Let them do their own self-improvement. And if they don't, it's none of your business. You take care of yourself, okay? But you have to let them know. There's a lot of people that are not self-aware and they're going around causing a lot of damage, okay? But if nobody's pointing it out to them, how do they know any better? So we should always point out if someone's behavior is not cool, okay? We have to let them know. I don't want to get sidetracked. Getting back to self-compassion and compassion for the other person. If you have exploded in anger, if you've, the anger has caused all this, damage. So, and the last bit I said was, when I texted my husband, I said, love you. Now, that is, that's never going to hurt anybody. It's never going to hurt anybody. It is only going to, some people are really deprived of love and it's going back childhood. It can only be a good thing for them to hear that message, okay? I can go on for 2 hours about this, a video on this, but just to keep it short, especially for a little child, you went off at them, you can go back, say sorry, say, you're not listening to me, that's why mommy got angry. There's a lot of things, good things you can say, apologize, let them know, and then if you say, it's not your fault, mommy's just very stressed right now, and I love you, okay? That last bit is a game changer for so many of us. If we had that told to us by our parents back when we were a child, because now there's a lot of positive parenting, but before we didn't have that. We had some hardcore treatment. But anyway, I'm not going to get into a positive parenting or healthy parenting video. I'll be making more of that later. So you have had self-compassion for yourself. You've explored the reasons for your anger. When you've calmed down, you've gotten back to the other person, said sorry, explained where you're coming from, and, you're acting from compassion for them, okay? Now, so in order to, it doesn't come across like blame, you can say, I felt angry when you instead of because of you saying blah, blah, blah. That's getting into a blame thing, and we'll do a video on blame another time. Okay, so that is some of the practical things and tips that we can do to manage your anger better, okay? These tips that I've said, that's gonna stop you from escalating. And even if you lose it totally, what is it that we can do to sort of make peace with the other person, with the situation, make peace within yourself? That's important. how compassion is really, compassion is a game changer for me, and I will definitely do a video on that. And when you put compassion into the mix of things, the outcome is a lot better, and you're evolving as a person. You know, you're growing when you put that. So overall, the outcome for me was good. I made peace with that anger thing. I've got homework to do. I've got this set of triggers. I'm going to practice. Next time I'm getting angry, I've still got the stress. I've still got the hormone issue. I've still got childhood stuff. So I am going to lose it. I'm not going to become Buddha tomorrow, okay? But I'm going to practice. I'm going to focus on my value. So one of the things is, I wrote it down somewhere. It was a really good thing about values. Okay, so what's important to me? What's important to my journey is to be calm, to not react. Okay, not get anger and all these things get the best of me, and break relationships. Or I want to be. My goals are to be more calm person, more balanced. Okay, react less to things that is not helpful. So I'm going to remind myself the next time, and I'm going to practice what I've talked about here. I'm going to practice that, and I'm going to keep practicing that. Okay, because over time you do get better at this. Okay, don't expect to, you've always been, like a default. Like I said, for me, default is anger. That in overnight you're going to change into a most zen person. No, it takes time, but practice makes perfect. I say keep practicing these every time. One thing guaranteed, right? One thing guaranteed, life is always going to test you. There's always going to be people that piss you off, that make you angry, that push that button, whether it's at home, in a shop, it's strangers, in the car, anywhere. So you are going to have lots of examples to practice with. Let me assure you that much. There's always going to be an example or a situation to practice what I'm talking about today. Okay, so the more we practice, the better we're going to get. Okay, so it's not the end of the world if you're struggling with anger. Okay, it's not. But the important thing is to, as I talked about all these things, be mindful of that. Okay, be mindful of that. Have compassion for yourself. Have understanding where this is coming from. Also be mindful on your behavior, the impact on your behavior on others. I've talked to you about how we can make peace with that. Okay, so we can get better with anger. We can get better at managing anger. And like I said, anger is there for a reason, and we can use it constructively and positively. And I'll talk more about that in another video. So for this video, I hope that helps. Please feel free to comment a question, a feedback. Let me know what's worked for you that I haven't already mentioned here. And then I can always do a follow-up videos and incorporate everyone's feedback. So this channel is not a one-way thing where I'm just doing the talking and I'm downloading wisdom to you. It's about me. My journey is about learning. I'm a student of life. So I am, naturally I'm curious. What does people have to say? What's your experience? Okay. And so I'm open-minded. So I'm very happy to hear your feedback. And also if something that I've said or mentioned in my videos working for you, okay, happy to hear that too. So if you want more, if you want to hear more about these things, whether it's anger or anything that's going to make us healthier and happier, calmer, please do subscribe to my channel. I have so many ideas. It's like non-stop. I can't turn it off my brain. So I've got a lot more coming up. If you select the bell icon, it's going to let you know when I upload a video. So if you want to keep in the loop of that, you know what to do. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you find it helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Namaste.